Hello, viewers. This is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series, and it looks like we have a Blue-Black Zombies mirror match. So we're going to have to go with Sorin and... oh, come on. Gristlebrand. Alright. So Sorin is using Infinite Obliteration, choosing Relentless Dead. Not a bad choice because of how difficult it is to actually get rid of that damn card. And he's got his own Relentless Dead in play. The other side has one in play. And he also has Gissa and Geralf. I haven't seen anybody play with this yet, so 4-drop, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. During each of your turns, you may cast a zombie creature from your graveyard. It's nice. Prized Amalgam, Ruinous Path, Grasp of Darkness, Crypt Breaker, Diregraph Colossus. Ooh, Liliana. -2/-1 turns the Relentless Dead into a 0/1, so he attacks all in for 6. Soren's in a little bit of trouble here. He really needs to kill a creature, preferably Gissa and Geralf, since, that's a 4 damage hit. He does get Liliana and Diregraph Colossus, so he's got a 4/4 of his own. And if he can get a creature to die, then Lily can flip. At the moment, Gristlebrand can't really attack in without, basically losing everything. Ooh, Dark Salvation. Now that could turn things around quite well. For 3, that means he's going to get 3 2/2s, and Liliana is going to get -4/-4. So she's dead, and now he's got quite a zombie army compared to the other side. He uses his Liliana Planeswalker to shrink the Diregraph Colossus. Soren gets another Liliana Heretical Healer. So ultimately, they're keeping each other pretty well balanced. Ooh, Diregraph Colossus from the other side. And Prized Amalgam from the graveyard, thanks to Gissa and Geralf. And that also gets him a zombie token because of Diregraph Colossus. Shrink the opposing Colossus, and things are looking real bad for Soren here because I'm thinking next turn we're going to see a full swing from Gristlebrand, and I don't know that Soren can survive that. He's got 3 blockers versus, 4, 8 attackers? That's 5. Yeah. At minimum, he's going to deal 10 damage. Alright, Stitchwing Scob. Hard cast because he really needs a blocker. Unfortunately, the Diregraph Colossus tokens come into play tapped. So, it's looking like he barely has enough. Well, trying to think. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be 6, 7, 8. He might live through this attack, but I don't know for certain. Oh, actually he won't, because Liliana can -2/-1 the Stitchwing Scob. And that's pretty much game right there. All he has to do is attack all out here. Unless he has a trick up his sleeve. He does have 1 card and 2 mana available. An ultimate price, or what is that? The bounce spell that makes them discard a card if you have a zombie. Okay, he is declaring blockers, which could mean that oh, he didn't attack all in. He kept a couple of zombies back for the Crypt Breaker. So block here and here. That would be a total. Okay, 3, 6, 8 damage. So he does live to fight another day, or at least one more. He's down to 2. Oh, he can pay for the Relentless Dead to come back to his hand and pay for the Crypt Breaker as well. He barely has enough mana for that. Mana comes from your graveyard to the battlefield. So he can put Relentless Dead in his hand and then Crypt Breaker onto the board. Unfortunately, he needs a board clear, otherwise he's just going to die on the next attack phase. And about the only thing I can think of that would make a difference here would be something along the lines of Languish. Because he's clearly not running enough islands for something like an Engulf the Shore. 3 cards in hand. He could potentially have 3 creature removal spells in his hand. Oh, using Liliana to make him discard. Make himself discard. The other side has no cards in his hand. Discards a Rise from the Tides. And unfortunately, Rise from the Tides makes zombie tokens that come into play tapped, so it's pretty much useless. Also, there's creatures in his graveyard as opposed to sorceries and instants. He would have only gotten 2/2/2s out of it, so even if they did come into play untapped, I don't think it would have been enough. Okay, Prized Amalgam, Relentless Dead. 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attackers. That's game. And Soren concedes. So, yeah, it it's quite an interesting matchup. Also, it doesn't look like they're running the same deck lists, honestly, which makes it even more interesting. Because, Blue Black Zombies is a new deck, so it's still in, I would say, a development stage because, one guy might have thought of a Blue Black Zombies deck list that is really good. Another guy might think of one that's not so good, but then again, there could be another guy who finds the first guy's list and says, I can do better. And they do. Or they find the second guy's deck list and figure out what went wrong and fix it. That's one of my favorite things about Magic is actually deck building. Because I love the challenge of trying to make something work and figuring out a way that possibly somebody had never thought of to make it work. Alright, Soren throws down a first turn Crypt Breaker. And so does Gristlebrand. So far they're mirroring each other. And Relentless Dead from Soren. No reason to attack in, since at best you're going to trade and both of you will lose your Crypt Breakers. Gristlebrand goes for the 2/2 token from Crypt Breaker, discarding Prized Amalgam because he can get it back. Now, the good thing about Crypt Breaker's zombie token is it comes into play untapped, unlike a lot of other token creators for zombies. Alright, third turn, Soren does the exact same thing. He's using Crypt Breaker to discard a Prized Amalgam to get a zombie token. The only difference now is that Soren has a Relentless Dead and it's a 2/2 Menace, which means that Gristlebrand's going to take 2 here. Ooh, Dark Salvation for 1 from Gristlebrand on the Relentless Dead while Soren is tapped out. So Soren cannot use either of Relentless Dead's abilities. It's always the perfect time to deal with Relentless Dead. You know, it always has the ability to bring itself back, but only if you have the mana to do it when it happens. So it can be a serious pain in the ass, or like in this situation, it can be just a very, very simple creature to kill. Diregraph Colossus from Soren, 4/4. So both sides are keeping it relatively even with their creatures. Another Dark Salvation for 1 on the Diregraph Colossus. So that kills that, gets him another zombie token. He doesn't attack in because at the moment, at best, he's going to get through for 2. Another Relentless Dead from Soren. You know, it would be too much to ask for Gristlebrand to have a third Dark Salvation in his hand. That would be actually kind of funny. You know, it's hardly ever going to happen, but it would still be pretty funny. But Gristlebrand taps 3 zombies, draws a card, and loses a life. And discards another prized amalgam to make another zombie token. And then throws down Diregraph Colossus, which is a 4/4. So he's in the lead slightly with his army. He's attacking in with 3 of his zombie tokens. And not a bad idea at the moment, considering Soren only has 2 2/2s. And one of them is one that he'd rather be attacking with than blocking with. So trade a couple of tokens, 4 damage gets through, Soren's down to 15, or 16, goes down to 15 using Crypt Breaker to draw a card and lose a life. And Infinite Obliteration. What is he going to choose? Because there's actually quite a few good choices. Relentless Dead, that way you don't ever have to worry about him ever again. Diregraph Colossus is a good choice as well. He's got 2 prized amalgams in his graveyard, so you could screw him over that way and get rid of them. And he chooses prized amalgam. Like I said, not a bad idea. It screws over his win more, because, you know, every time he plays something from his graveyard, he can get prized amalgams back. And this way, they never go into the graveyard ever again. Oh, what? He skipped the graveyard. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the name you choose and exile them. He missed the 2 prized amalgams in the graveyard. I don't know that that's going to cost him the game or not, but that is quite the fumble. Because all he has to do is discard something like the Haunted Dead with Crypt Breaker to make a zombie, and then use the Haunted Dead's ability to bring it back into play, and he effectively spends a total of 4 mana, gets a 2/2, a 1/1 flyer, 2 3/3s, and another 2/2, excuse me. Okay. Looks like Soren's had enough. Unfortunately, it looked like he got mana screwed, though, to be honest, their mana curve really isn't that high. So, being stuck on 3, I mean, while it limited him to probably playing 1 thing a turn, you know, he could still play things, as opposed to some decks which, 3 mana would really suck. I mean, it did sap all of his forward momentum, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But unfortunately for Soren, he lost the whole match. I don't know if that's because of the way his deck is built or whether it was because of the shuffler, but either way, unfortunate turn of events for him. But I'm going to end the video here. That was Blue Black Zombies mirror match. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.